When we have a discussion about the immune system, human beings are unique. So we're unique in the sense that every other animal on Earth lacks the ability to control their environment. So if you look at the way a cat lives or a dog lives, or a rat in the alley, they're not building houses, they're not building infrastructure, they're not building means of transportation, they're not altering their environment, they're not farming foods, they're typically scavenging for foods, they're not shipping products internationally across the oceans, they're not using technology like this to communicate in groups where they're not even physically present. So we as human beings have a very unique situation in that we are responsible to a degree for our environment. Our lifestyle choices determine what our environment is, not necessarily just where you are placed in life. So again, to a degree, you are in control of your environment. And the reason I'm bringing this up is part one of this module is all about movement neurology. And so we have the most unbelievable brain and nervous system on the planet. That's why they say we're the top of the food chain, because we have the most unbelievable nervous system. We can outsmart animals and environmental stressors that should kill us and have the ability to kill us. So a virus is no different. And what I'm going to focus on in today's workshop is how do you maximize your nervous system to make sure that your body is functioning ideally, regardless of the environment you put it in. And in the following workshops, we're going to talk about optimizing your environment to make it easy on your nervous system to survive. So the whole point of today is you can control your environment. There's an external variable and an internal variable. We're going to talk about the internal. The internal, a lot of responsibility falls on you, and a lot of responsibility is automatic. It's automatic. So I'm going to pull up a slide here. We have a virus right now that is a novel virus. A novel virus meaning new. And so whenever there's a new virus, your body has to detect it and kill it. Detect it and kill it. And I want you to know, I want you to rest assured, you are well equipped to kill novel viruses. You do it every year that the flu comes around. You do it every year when other strains of the coronavirus are around, or the rhinovirus. All these other viruses we're exposed to, they actually change strains every year, which is why those of you who have had the flu, you know you're not immune to the flu next year. Those of you that did the flu shot, you know it's only good for a few strains, and then next year there's a new one. So you're never lifelong immune to any of these viruses because they continue to adapt and change. And so what I'm showing you here on the slide is your body has something called the innate, the inborn immune system. And then what we mostly focus on in the news and on the radio is your adaptive or your humoral, meaning in the fluids immune system. That's the antibody system. So everyone says, do you have antibodies? Do you have antibodies? Do you have antibodies? There are only two types of people. One that have had the virus and you will have antibodies against that strain. And then the rest of us who've never had it, you don't have antibodies unless you've had it. Having antibodies to last year's flu does not prevent you from getting next year's flu. So the point of me bringing up this innate immune system slide is your innate immune system is made up of tons of different cells, white blood cells, neutrophils, monocytes, natural killer cells. And these cells get mobilized by the nervous system to attack, to kill, and to flag, to activate the antibody system. So a virus comes into the body, your innate immune system is going to detect it. Part of the innate immune system is your skin, which is going to protect you, which is why everyone says wash your hands, right? Part of the innate immune system, when these viruses land on you and they start working their way into the body, most of you are killing it right away. You don't even know that you've been exposed to a virus. If it's allowed to get into the cell and start growing, that's when you run into problems. So the innate immune system is always working. It does not need antibodies, and it's called innate because it's inborn. You already have it. It's default, part of your system. It's part of your defense. Now, literature on this, studies on this, refer to it as the Neuro-Immune endocrine system is what controls your innate immune system. And what that actually means is your brain, your spinal cord, and your nervous system, as well as your hormones and your immune system, all work together in one giant unison. Like I was talking about, an orchestra. So every one of these little instruments has to be in tune. Every one of them has to know what sheet music we're playing. And then the master conductor, the brain, has to control and coordinate the response. So there's two places you get in trouble with a virus. Number one, you have a weakened innate immune function. I'll say that again. If your innate immune system is weak, if it's weak, you're more susceptible. You have weak castle walls. It's easier for people to get in, these viruses to get in. And so number one thing we're going to address is how do you make sure that you're avoiding the mistakes that weaken your innate immune system? And what can you do to ensure that your innate immune system is doing the best that it can? And that's what we're going to next. Number two reason why people get really sick with viruses, flu viruses, coronaviruses, is their innate immune system is working well, but almost too well. And you end up with an uncoordinated, excessive immune response. Now, it's deemed excessive because the body can't keep up or clean up with the damage and the cytokines and the inflammation that's creating. So the best analogy would be if we have an infiltrator in a building, the solution typically would be to wall it off, isolate it, and work our way into the building to find the intruder, capture the intruder, and eliminate them, right? Where some people's immune systems right now are so uncoordinated, their neuro-immune endocrine system is not functioning in unison. They're coming up to the building and saying, there's an intruder in the building, in your body, and they're blowing up the building to get rid of one intruder. There's a massive response to something that is a little bit smaller. There's an incongruent response. So the two things are your immune system is weak or it's hyperactive. It's not in tune and it's excessively responding to something that it shouldn't be responding so dramatically to. So again, this innate immune system slide I brought up because this is so complicated, so complex. I guarantee you that we do not know the entirety of it. And what you're seeing on this, you don't get to choose how this works, but you do get to choose the environment that you put your body in. And the better the environment, the easier this amazing system works. So I'm going to take that down. Your innate immune system, we know, is influenced by neurology. So go with me here. There are no studies or proven treatments for the coronavirus. There are no studies that have proven a healthy spine and a healthy nervous system prevent or kill the coronavirus. However, there is evidence all across the literature that shows a healthy spine and nervous system decreases stress on your brain, which improves immune function. So we can look at biological evidence. I can look at clinical evidence throughout my career over the last 10 years adjusting people. And we can say that we know for a fact, and if those of you are interested, you shoot me a message, I'll send you the studies. We know for a fact that stress in the brain decreases immune function response. So more irritation of the brain, lower immune function. Not good. We know for a fact that a healthy spine, healthy spinal movement, and nerve function coming up to the brain improves that stress response, which secondarily improves your immune system. So I'm a chiropractor. I adjust people. I adjust people because there are issues with their spine, not to treat disease. There's a difference there. But by eliminating issues with your spine, you can increase normal brain function, which improves immune function. And that's something I want. That's something I want for my family. That's something I want for every patient I lay my hands on. So what I'm going to do today is teach you, number one, most important thing ever is you need to know the condition of your spine and nervous system. If you want a healthy immune system, if you want a healthy nervous system, it's required that your brain and nervous system function normally so everything can communicate. Number two is, if you're not getting adjusted, you don't know the condition of your spine, you got to start as soon as physically possible. It's the best kept secret in healthcare. It's the thing that nobody knows about because they don't know about it. It's an ignorance is not bliss in this case. Your spinal issues from sitting too much, from being on a webinar, from getting on Zoom calls at your office, from doing all of these things, driving in your car every day, eating hunched over, bending and picking up your kids the wrong way, laying in your bed all crooked at night, all of these old sports injuries you have that have been never addressed and never cleaned up and never fixed. They leave bad motion. They leave scar tissue in the spine. Those bones that get locked together and can't move properly, they send nociception, which is a word for body worry or a stress response to the brain. And that lowers the ability of the brain to function normally. And we know that by eliminating these subluxations, these locked vertebrae, these not moving properly joint segments, we can increase proprioception, good movement to the brain, which will then restore normal stress response, decrease your stress hormones, and allow your body to function better the way it was intended. My point is, a good spine is going to allow the brain and nervous system to work better, which allows your innate immune system to work better. Do you follow the logic there? A bad spine, body worry, stress response to the brain, lowers immune function. You are now more susceptible to any virus, any flu, any bug that comes your way. So what I'm going to do is, a lot of you don't live by me or you can't come in and get adjusted. I'm also going to teach you right now the things you have to be doing on a daily basis to improve your spinal health. In between adjustments, or if you're not getting adjusted, at least start doing these right away today by increasing spinal movement, increasing stretching and movement receptors on those joints. You're going to change the way your brain works this morning. You're literally going to change the way the brain works this morning. So I'm going to pull up my slideshow here. And just so you guys know, this is going to be available for you to download on this webinar. So I'm actually going to pull up a quick poll here. And I want to see, you guys can answer these questions on the side. There we go. So the question is, how many days a week, and maybe I don't want to see the results of this, but how many days per week do you perform spinal exercises? This can be at home. You can count if you come in the office and you do your warm up before the adjustment, that counts. So answer the question there and we'll see what the results are on there. And I hope I'm not afraid, but spinal hygiene, called spinal hygiene. Most of you are practicing oral hygiene, I hope. At some point, it became commonplace that you just brush your teeth every day. Why? Because you want to keep your teeth. So why do you brush your spine every day and do these spinal warm-ups and exercises I'm going to show you? It's because you want to keep your spine. And if I had a choice between keeping my teeth and my spine, I can get veneers, I can get teeth replacements. I want to keep my spine. So these exercises, they literally function like flossing and brushing the joints of the spine by opening and closing them. It's very interesting. Everyone's worried about having a herniated disc. Nobody wants a herniated disc. Yet nobody knows that if you sit all day and you don't move your joints to the end of their range, those discs actually dehydrate in between the bones and they atrophy and they degenerate. So the only way to get fluid into the disc is by opening and closing the joints. It's through movement. So the first series of exercises is the wobble chair. I'm sitting on my wobble cushion here in my kitchen area, and you can see, so step one is you're going to bend as far as you can from the tip of your head all the way down to the bottom of your butt. And you're going to bend into a C shape to one side and then a C shape to the other side. And this exercise is meant to be done fast, as fast as you can tolerate. And it's meant to be done in 60 repetitions of each of these movements. So the way you count the exercises, 1, 2, and you want to move. You want to move fast with this, as fast as you can tolerate. This is a dynamic warm-up. It's going to get the muscles warmed up. It's going to stretch the stretch receptors on the joints. It gives a ton of feedback to the brain. It'll wake you up in the morning better than a cup of coffee. It'll calm you down at night better than taking melatonin. And this is going to literally rehydrate the discs, offsetting any arthritis or scar tissue that you've created sleeping in the wrong position or sitting too much or driving weird. So the side to side is the first one. The next one is front to back. So you slouch all the way forward and roll your chin to your chest, like you can see on the picture on the right. And that's going to stretch the spine forward, open all the joints on the back end. A lot of you are already sitting like this. This will be a pretty easy position. Now, the best of these two is the one where you arch back. You're going to roll your chin back using the active muscles. You're going to roll your shoulders back and pull down and squeeze all the muscles down your spine in the back there and arch your lower back, stick your butt out. So everything is pulled back. Again, 60 repetitions, front to back. And then the third one is the twist. So in this one, you're twisting your entire body as far as you can, looking behind you, not moving your pelvis, not moving your legs. So your hips stay exactly where they are, like in the picture. And then you're going to rotate left, right, left, right, left, right, 60 repetitions. Now the spine's warm and you can begin the second set of exercises on here. This one's called the cat-cow. So you get on all fours, you line up your knees about a hip or shoulder width distance apart, and you get your body into a nice little square. So your knees up to your hips, your back to your shoulders, down to your wrists should make a box. And you can have, if you have somebody at the house, have them check your form and say, hey, am I lined up right? And then the first position is, again, similar to the wobble. You're going to arch back, pull everything back, squeeze the muscles down the mid back in your spine here. And then you're going to arch your low back, stick your butt out, look up towards the ceiling with your neck. Keep your muscles active and strong, and you're going to hold this for a few seconds. You can go at 5 seconds is what I like to do. Arch it for 5, take 2 deep breaths, and then you're going to do the opposite movement, which is you're going to push your shoulders, push the shoulders forward into the ground, push your back up towards the ceiling, flex your abs, flex these little muscles under your neck here. You don't want to flop your head. I'll show you this way. You don't want to flop your head. You want to curl your head. There's a big difference there. Curl it using the active muscles. And again, hold that for 5 seconds. Do at least 20 of these, 20. So 1 up, 1 down, that's 1, 20. So this is part 2. Now, after doing that one, you go back into what's called the child's pose. You're sitting on your heels like I am in this picture here. Your arms are stretched forward as far as they can. You're going to feel an elongation, a stretch, kind of like when you lay on the chiropractic table. You can feel your back opening and your body opening up. So you're going to feel that here. I like to do at least 10 breaths in this position. Breathe all the way down into your diaphragm. You should feel your stomach pressing against your belt line. So these exercises are giving feedback to your brain. They're opening up your lungs, bringing oxygen into your body, which we're going to cover in one of the other modules, one of the other events on this. It's also stretching and opening your muscles, increasing blood flow, and waking up the body. This is how you mobilize the innate immune system. This is how you start opening the body up and preparing it for battle. This one is phenomenal for anyone who has a sitting job or a bending job, if you're sitting or bending. So if you have any low back issues, low back pain, disc issues, past surgeries, you're gonna start with the first picture, which is me on my elbows. It's softer, a little more gentle. The pressure in this is going to be felt right where the t-shirt hits your pant line in your low back there. And this is called the prone cobra. So start on your elbows, push up, arch the low back, and you're going to take 2 deep breaths and then lower back down. So about a 5-second hold. You're going to do 20 of those. These are done every morning, every night. All these exercises are done every morning, every night. The bottom one is to do a little bit more of the advanced, and you're going to get up to your hands. Your legs are flat on the ground. Your weight is going into your legs and into your hands. You're pushing down like you're doing a push-up almost. And then your chest elevates. It's a more intense version of that. And it's going to stretch out the abdominal muscles. And then it's going to open up and rehydrate the front of those discs where you're normally getting compressed and pressured all day. So these are the moves there. And then finally, the last one is called the supine twist. And what this one is you're laying on your back. the best way to do is start out on your side like you're going to sleep. You're going to take your top leg and bring the knee over like you see me doing. Take your opposite side hand and grab that knee. And then you take your other arm and reach it way across and open up the chest. You're going to feel a stretch all the way from typically your knee and your butt cheek, all the way up your back, all the way up to the top of your head. Your gaze, your eyes are going to follow your top arm that goes off the screen there. Now, this can be held 5 seconds and then switch sides. Or if you're feeling pretty warm, then you're going to be doing a longer hold. If you feel pretty warm and able to do it, do a longer hold. Now, if you're having issues getting up and off the ground, or if you're afraid to lay down and not be able to get up, depending on how your body's doing right now, this one can be done in a chair. And what you would do is you can cross your leg over like you're reading the paper, and then grab the handle on the chair and twist and look behind you. So that's a modification for that one. And then if you have bad knees, I would recommend the child's pose. You want to ease into it. What you want to do if you have bad knees is start in that cat-cow position on all fours. And instead of, you go through your up and your down repetitions, and instead of rocking all the way back and down into that child's pose where you're all the way back, just send your butt backwards until your knees can't tolerate more. When your body tells you to stop, then you're going to stop. And then come back forward again and count that as one repetition. Then come back and just do 10 of those. So every time you want to bend the knee a little further, a little further, a little further to get that flexion in the joint, and it's going to open the joint up. So if you are not doing, let's check in on our poll over here. So we got about 20% of people are doing nothing, no spinal hygiene exercises at all. You're going to notice the biggest changes because your body is going to open up when you change the blood flow, change the nerve flow, and the stimulation of the brain. You're going to notice the greatest change when you start doing these every day. We got 34% is doing 1 to 2 days, a quarter is doing 3 to 4, and actually 20% are doing 5 or more days a week. So give yourself a pat on the back. The biggest thing that I wanted out of today is, like, you've got to understand you're equipped to kill novel viruses as long as you're doing the things that your body needs. So by looking at this, 20% of you are doing the things your body needs to some degree every day, opening up the spine, opening up your nervous system. You're going to do better in general than somebody who's not doing anything for their spine, allowing the muscles and ligaments to get tight and atrophy and stiff. You're going to do better every time.